had a conversation with, you know, several of them, and they have a set number of things that they're working on, and really the number of them is 3. 2 of them in the run game and 1 of them in the throw game, which is really more technique and fundamentals, has really nothing to do with scheme, and really you want to keep it that way. This is a time for those guys. See, every player has a toolbox, and inside that box, you know, okay, block destruction box. All right, this is what I do when I block destruct, okay? Low block destruction is what I do when I'm low block. You know, getting over the top of a block. You know, this is my favorite there. This is my counter. So all you're trying now is to place as many tools in their toolbox that will benefit them, you know, when the bullets start flying in August.
Who's leading them? I mean, there's so many young guys, it seems like, well, especially with the defensive line.
Well, there's no question Rashawn Gary and Mo Hurst are leading the defensive line. I mean, that's just...
Even Rashawn being a sophomore.
That has nothing to do with age. It has everything to do with presence, command. You know, obviously he's an extremely good player. And when your extremely good players are the best players and the hardest working, that makes it's easy, you know. Linebacker Mike McRae, Roboleski, and Devin Bush Jr. thinks he's a senior, so
oh, really?
I mean, he might as well, you know.
It's just so in the blood?
That's, yeah, probably in the blood, you know. Takes after his mother, I tell his dad all the time. So, and then on the back end, I think Tyree Cannell, Brandon Watson, amongst others, have done a good job. Josh Metellus is a young guy, but has leadership ability. So, you know, everybody asks me about all that. It's funny because it's a non-issue for us.
Other than Drake Harris being long, what gives him a chance to stick and make something happen in a corner?
He can run now. I mean, don't underrate the guy. He can flat out run. Length is a beautiful thing when you can put your hands on a guy. It's also a beautiful thing when you can reach for the ball. And those, you know, like we just talked about, the toolbox, those are all things we've got to make sure he takes full advantage of in his toolbox.
What's the learning curve like for a guy who's never played defense? He's always been a receiver.
Yeah, he's a football player, though. And no, I don't think it's overrated. But when you're a receiver, you're going against the guy position you're now playing, so you kind of know, well, I got to defeat this, this, and this. So now you flip over and go, I got to get good at this, this, and this. So, you know, at least you're swimming in the same pond.
He's doing it because he wanted to be on the field. Hawkins is doing it because it's kind of, I guess, the same thing, but he hasn't gone through even the first couple of years. Is that something that you see as natural for him, too?
He's natural.
Yeah.
He's natural.
Do you like him as a rover or a free safety? I'm not sure yet.
You know, we'll put him out there at the rover position, which is, I think, a little tougher to learn.
Yeah.
And then if he has to go over to the free safety position because it suits him better, then that's what we'll do.
Not just with ball skills, he played a little bit of like hybrid linebacker almost in high school, I think, at times. Is he a willing enough tackler? Or I guess you're going to see, but I mean, do you feel like that's a natural thing too for him?
You know, I can just tell in his makeup, you know, just watching him in workouts and stuff. This guy's a tough guy.
Do you have to fight hard to get him to switch over? Or do they want him to stay a receiver? I mean, that sounds like something that you saw something in him that he's going to fit there.
I just think, you know, coach is really good at figuring that out, you know. You know, a little thin safety. This guy has the best chance, you know. Ben Mason.
Right.
You know, will he play earlier at Mike? Sure. You know, I can't argue with it because it's true. You know, I talked about that the other day. You know, having a guy that big run downhill at you, and when he always shows up, it's always in a bad mood. Those are good things. Plus, he can flat out catch. So,
you see these freshmen rolling in. Can you kind of take a look at them and see how diligent they've been in getting their bodies ready for what's to come.
Well, that's it. The proof's in the pudding. You know, take your shirt off. Let's see. You know, look at what they look like. You know, and you know, being your tight workout garb. You know, I'm really impressed with our young guys, and I'm really excited about how fast they're coming together as a group.
I remember specifically Villain telling me Madison told him, be in the best shape of your life.
And it won't be good enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Aubrey Solomon has such a reputation, you know, in terms of the ranking stuff and stuff that we see, but you don't see any of that. What is the things he does well that you see that you guys wanted him so much?
Well, you know, he's a big guy, he's a wanting guy, you know, he's a motor guy, you know. It's all the right things for a defensive lineman. He's long, he's fast, he's big, he's physical, and he can run.
Thanks a lot, Don.
Speaking of guys walking around in shape, Hudson looks to be in some serious shape. How excited were you after spring about how he adjusted to that new spot and maybe the ceiling for him there?
Not only him, Glasgow too.
Yeah, both.
You know, Glasgow has a 100-yard interception in the spring game, and B. Watt had a 40-yard interception for a touch. So, but Glasgow did it at safety, not at Viper. That was interesting, and that's why we've kind of, you know, Josh Khalid's playing a sole Viper, where Glass can now be a swing guy. You know, you mentioned free safety, so he's the guy that was swinging.
He play both?
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach.
Well,